Hello, it's Paul Quirky again with Louise, my editor and camera woman and support worker. This is White Storm, White Cider, the alcoholic's heroin, which after 15 years of drinking it has got me into the position where I am ready to die in 2 years or 1 year. Anyway, as I was saying before, I thought I was a paedophile, which I'm not. I love children. I would never harm a child, but I ended up in Broad Oak Psychiatric Hospital in Merseyside, and my dad was coming to visit me, and one day we were in the smoking room and I was starting to get a bit better. But one day, a woman got dragged in by the nurses, Michelle, who I mentioned before, the little girl Emily's mum, who I thought had abused. And I went to my dad. That's the mother of the girl I abused. Right, and my dad said, "Fucking hell. I've been walking around with you and you're a paedophile." Oh my God. So, a couple of nights later, it pushed me over the edge and I escaped from the hospital and threw myself in front of a car on Broad Green Road, causing a 10-car pile-up. I later wrote a poem saying, "A 10-car pile-up I did cause a suicide in your insurance clause." Now times are much better. I may be an alcoholic. I've been to the Isle of Wight with Colin, my oldest friend of 30 years, and I'm with Louise, and Ed lives downstairs, my best friend. And I was going to mention Colin, and I wrote a little piece about him. He is a human machine sent from outer space to intervene. And he is an amazing human being. He's super efficient. He's a great Marxist. He's still human like the rest of us. He still has his faults. He still pisses and shits. Sorry for the language. But after the Isle of Wight, he came up the other day. He was staying in the Adelphi, and we had a dinner in the Adelphi Hotel, and we had tea and sandwiches. And he'd been up to see his uncle, and his uncle's funeral, sorry, not his son had died young due to drinking himself to death, as Colin said. And so did his uncle. And quite sad, there was only 10 people there at the funeral. Colin said, "It'll only be me and your brother at your funeral," which I don't think's true. I think there'll be quite a few people there, because I've known quite a few people in Liverpool, and I don't care anyway, I won't be there. But I'm gonna make every day joyful till then. And I might end up in the Marie Curie Centre, hospice, pissing and shitting myself to death, pardon the language. But I've had a good innings, as I said earlier, 50 not out, which is a good cricket score. And so anyway, I had a great time in the Isle of Wight. Me, Colin and Doug, who was our driver, went round the Isle of Wight. We visited many beaches. We'd go to Ride for our little stop off, which wasn't far from our holiday home, our luxury cottage. But I couldn't walk, as I said earlier, because I'd injured me coccyx and me back from falls. And they said I was yellow when I turned up, and Colin found me in a shocking state. So they were very hard on me, and they were trying to train me back up to the kick-ass revolutionary that I used to be. So Doug is a great revolutionary in his own right. He's more worldly than Colin. And another word about Colin. He's a great Marxist, and he, apart from being a filmmaker, having his own studio in High Barnet, he's been a revolutionary since the 1980s in the Socialist Worker Party, and he helped start the campaign against the poll tax with the militant tendency, and he helped remove Margaret Thatcher from government when they had a riot in London. So he's got a great legacy, he's built a great legacy, and that's why we get on so well, I think, and he stood by me, because I've also been a member of the Socialist Worker Party, and we've had some great times together. And I used to live with him in a magazine in Elsine, where which he used to run, and I used to live there as well as work for LCTV, which I helped start with a mad idea that came up with about a Bosnian one-armed woman, and he stood by me all these years. 30 years must be going on for, and he's been a good friend, and so we had this great time in the Isle of Wight. Colin, we got back to London. Oh, when I was in the Isle of Wight, it was the Queen's Jubilee, and a platinum, whatever that means, Jubilee, and I got up in Ryde on this karaoke bar where they were all singing mad heavy metal punk songs, and I got up and sang God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols. God save the Queen, fascist regime that made you a moron, potential H-bomb. And all these Isle of Wight people were going, whoa, whoa. So I had the Isle of Wight up in arms. Plus this lovely young woman with blonde hair, looks like Louise. She came up and said, do you want to sing Kingston Town by UB40 with me? And I didn't really know the song, but I sung it with her, so I made a few little friends in Ryde. So that was nice. And it was good because our team leader had bought £100 in my rucksack and I lost it. So Colin and Doug had to pay for me for the whole 4 days. So I felt quite embarrassed. But, and then Doug is into his fitness as well as his filmmaking. He's an intellectual too. Had me running around the complex where we were staying, and I was getting fitter every day, and I was opening the door rather than 5 minutes, I'd take 5 seconds, so they were quite pleased with me. And then we got the ferry back. You had to go to Southampton, and the journey home seemed a lot shorter than the journey there. And Doug goes, that's because there was a big traffic jam on the way down, Paul. So we made it all the way back, and we got to High Barnet, and I was really happy to be back. Colin made me a lasagna, and then we went out for a drink for Doug, and I felt really happy even though I'm kind of dying. And we were talking about the holiday, about seeing the castle where Charles I was imprisoned by Oliver Cromwell, etc. But Colin started into a rant, as he is wont to do, about my illness, and I told him Marie Curie told me I've got between 2 and 10 years left, and he said he just want you in their fucking hospice, they'll take all your money off you and you'll have no control over your own life. You won't be able to do what we've done this weekend. You want to go into rehab, whatever, and he bullied me. I know he cares about me, but he was bullying me, and it did me head in. And then we got back to the flat, and we were talking politics, and Colin said, Paul doesn't vote anymore. He's an anarchist now. I said, no, I'm not an anarchist. I'm actually a member of the Labour Party. I paid £20 a month subs, and they were shocked by that. Anyway, and then we all went to bed. Poor Doug, he's got a proper job. He had to go to bed, which is in the same room as same space as where I was sleeping. And because of what Colin had said, I paced up and down all night. And I had to... I woke up the next morning and I was angry with Colin, to be honest. I banged on his door, said, have you got a cigarette? Because I noticed he had a pack of tobacco the night before. And he said, I haven't got any. So I went outside into the courtyard where he's got all his plants and etc., tomatoes and all that. And he said, he comes down, gave me a roll-up cigarette, and then I said, I've been up all night, Colin. I couldn't sleep after what he'd said last night. How was your night? He goes, Paul, I've been up all night. I couldn't sleep myself. I've got a friend in Liverpool, meaning me, who's dying, and he won't do anything about it. And I don't want him to. And you know what? It's the first time in 30 years he's ever shown me any sentiment. So, anyway, we had a smoke. He gave me a bottle of beer. Made me a breakfast. And then he called me a taxi, an Uber taxi, which he paid for. He gave me £20. And gave me the bag of tobacco and said that. But we had to run for the taxi and my legs were killing. Made it to the train station on time. High Barnet train station. I made it to Euston Station. I had to go for a little piddle in Euston on the Marks and Spencers, and then I got to Victoria Station, made it to the Liverpool Victoria coach station, made it to the Liverpool coach with seconds to spare, with a number Colin had got me when he ordered it, and then I made it home safely. So that is the end of the story.